Hi everybody, this is Frank Clifford and welcome to a new series called Astrologer Frank Answers. It's an opportunity for me to answer your questions about specific parts of your chart, or a general question such as vocation, or even just a general question about astrology or a particular placement that you have. A lot of books, a lot of online uh, websites and recordings can be very judgmental, very negative about things, and it's always important to seek out somebody that tries to be helpful and useful. And it's important to feel inspired by your chart rather than sentenced to some awful prediction or predicament. So I'm hoping that this series is an opportunity to give you some insights that are encouraging rather than scary or fatalistic in some way. If you're interested in having a question answered, go to londonschoolofastrology.com and create a free account. Email us with your question and your birth details, or just question if it's not specific to your own chart, and I'll do my best to answer it. You can also follow me on Instagram at Astrologer Frank as well. So the question we have today is about the relocated chart. It's a question that I'm asked often. Whenever I teach astrology, I'm often teaching what we call astrocartography, astrogeography. It's also called the relocated chart. There are lots of terms under the same umbrella of locational astrology. I'm going to be teaching all of those methods at a weekend in November, between the 18th and 19th of November. You can find that out on the website. And you can be part of that. It's also recorded. You can watch it later if you can't watch live, and view it permanently. And the relocated chart is a question we get asked a lot wherever I teach astrology around the world. And I've got a question from Michelle, which I'm going to share with you now. Okay, so Michelle says, how do I read my relocated chart? Well, I'll do my best to explain a little bit about it here, but you'll get a lot more through the school, through the weekend in November as well. Michelle was born in Paris, France, but has been living in Vancouver in Canada for the past 43 years. With my relocated chart, I become a night person. My angles have changed, those signs have changed, and the houses move, or the planets move through in different houses, she says. I find this very confusing. I'm looking forward to getting some clarity on this issue. Okay, I'll do my best. All right. So the birth chart, the date, place, and time that you're born stays with you for your entire life, even if you're there in that location for just one day. The next day you fly to the other side of the world and start a new life. You still have that moment of time and seeing the bowl of heaven from that position in that moment. Yeah. It's not like citizenship where you become a citizen later somewhere else. It's that moment of time. Your birth chart stays with you. So to me, I would use that and prioritize that throughout your life. Transits, solar arc directions, natal interpretation, these are all going to be very important if we follow your natal chart. The relocated chart, and the further you go from your birthplace, the more it's going to change. The signs, the planets will move further through the houses, the further away from your birthplace that you relocate to. But think of it as an additional chart that describes your relationship to that town or to that country. Yeah? We all have a particular energy, and places have particular energies too. So even if you find that Paris is very foreign to you, Michelle, and Vancouver really feels like home, it's because the Vancouver energy and your relocated chart speaks to you in a way that is fruitful for you in this time of your life. So what I would say is that think of the birth chart as a diamond. Think of it as different parts so if you shine a light on different parts of the diamond, certain facets of that diamond will be accentuated while others fade into the background. When you move that spotlight to a different part, a different corner of the diamond, like a different corner of the globe, different parts of you may be more illuminated, ones that were hidden before, areas that you haven't even considered start to gain prominence in your chart. For example, you may be born where Venus is very strong, but you end up moving to a place where Mars is very strong, and you end up having to work with that Mars energy. You might find it too confrontational if you're not a Mars type of person. But going to a place, it's almost like you get to experience what it's like to have that natally. Yeah? I often say to students and clients, if you really want to explore your birth chart, go to a part of the world where that planet is on an angle, meaning it's on the ascendant, descendant, MC, or IC. Those are the four prominent parts of the chart that really have a lot to do with how life manifests for us. So if we look at Michelle's natal chart, we can see that she's got all four cardinal signs on the angles. Aries on the ascendant, Libra on the descendant, Capricorn on the midheaven, Cancer or the MC, and Cancer on the IC. So her angles are very cardinal. Yeah? We know that she's actually very fixed in terms of her nature. The Sun and Mercury are in Aquarius, and the Moon, plus two other planets, is in Leo. So very fixed nature, but the angles are cardinal. And when you're born with cardinal angles, it means that things around you are often conflict driven. There's a lot of action, a lot of emergency, a lot of change, a lot of things happening. It's a very dynamic thing. And that may not suit somebody who's very fixed. They may prefer to be somewhere that has that heavier, more permanent, fixed energy. Yeah? Now, if we relocate Michelle's chart to Vancouver, we see that now the Sun, which was up here, and the Moon, they sort of swap places, haven't they, almost? Yeah, the Moon's up here now, the Sun's down here. But they're still at the same degree and same minute of the signs. The Moon is at 18 degrees 40 minutes. And I'll teach you how to look at this, what to consider, how to calculate this all at the weekend. And it's also in the LSA Year 2 course as well. But the perspective has changed. So what we've done is we've taken the moment Michelle was born and said, what does it look like? Instead of the perspective from Paris in France, what does it look like from the perspective of Vancouver? So the planets are still in the same signs and degrees because it's the same moment. But the angles, the houses, the planets in the houses, these have all shifted because she's moved to the other side of the world. And this is why everything has shifted sort of 180 degrees, pretty much, almost. And obviously, if Michelle were to go from Paris to Lyon or Paris to London, the chart wouldn't shift that much. It might make one or two slight changes, but not much. But going to the other side of the world, Vancouver, we've got a big shift of perspective. And Michelle's now got Scorpio rising. It's a lot more fixed, which may suit her nature. It may feel a lot more permanent. Now, Michelle hasn't said whether she enjoys living in Vancouver or not. And this is something that we'd have to chat about if it were a consultation. It may be that it brings out facets of her nature that she doesn't enjoy, or she wants to be more noticed, more prominent. Often clients come with all sorts of issues. They want more privacy or more prominence, or they want to go somewhere that's going to be better for their career or better for their love life, or a bit of everything. So anyway, everything has shifted, as you can see. And what I would say is use this chart, Michelle, and anybody can do this at home if you've got a computer. There's usually a relocated button that you can do. But what you want to do is to calculate the chart, not change the time zone, but simply change the longitude and latitude. So the computer will do that for you if you have an astrology program. And always check that the moon hasn't shifted a minute. It's got to be at the same degree and same minute. But you can relocate your chart. And what it's saying for you, Michelle, is that this is your relationship to Vancouver. It doesn't change your basic nature, your sun, your moon, the angles, the angular aspectual relationships don't change. You've still got Mars-Saturn conjunct, Mars square Venus, Mercury opposite Uranus, Sun opposite Uranus. You've still got those aspects, but the houses and the angles have changed. So this is your relationship with Vancouver. And you could look at transits to the relocated chart too, should you wish, just to understand maybe changes that you make in that town, maybe changes you make to your home, or different things that are happening in that city, in that place as well. But always go back to the natal chart for the real understanding of who you are. In Vancouver, the Scorpio energy will come out. And the sun is now towards the bottom of the chart, near what we call the nadir, not the IC, but the nadir here. So the sun is, as you say, you become a night person, which may mean that it's actually a very private space for you. You get a chance to really connect to Pluto, Scorpio type energies, to go deep, to explore deep. We also notice that the midheaven is in Virgo, but very close to it is this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. So they become very prominent by you moving to Vancouver. So this could be interesting now because you're in your 60s. You've obviously been in Vancouver for, as you say, 43 years, for 2/3 of your life. But the Jupiter-Pluto has an opportunity to really be tremendously creative in this part of the world, to shape your destiny, to maybe to work with people who need inspiration, who need mentorship. They're in the sign of Leo, you see. So perhaps this need to be the mentor that you have with your moon in Leo comes to the fore in Canada, where you've been able to help people through intense, deep therapy, perhaps. Pluto and Jupiter together in Leo on the midheaven. Maybe you've been an analyst in some way. You've taken that ability, that Aquarian ability, to be constantly interested in people, sociology, anthropology, to really understand what makes people tick and be able to use it in a Scorpio, Pluto, Jupiter sort of way. In other words, you've been able to take your interest in people and their psychology into new fields. Now, you've obviously been living there 43 years. Had you asked what would it be like to live in this place, then of course we'd explore these possibilities together of being able to go deep, really being able to explore the depth psychology that's written in so many ways in your chart, or the creative depths as well. I hope that's answered some of your question. It is confusing to have two charts. Stick with the natal chart, prioritize that, but use the Vancouver, the relocated chart, to understand a little bit of what is being brought out, what the people in Vancouver, what the society, and how you are all interacting. And for you, it's in a Jupiter-Pluto way. This comes to the fore, as does the Scorpio ascendant. So research, investigation, therapy, these are areas that are going to be more prominent in this part of the world. I hope that's a helpful answer for you, Michelle. I'm going to leave it there. Anybody else who wants to get in touch with me, go to londonschoolafastrology.com, sign up for an account, email us your details, your question, your birth details, etc. And follow me on Instagram if you like. All right. Take care of yourself. And thanks, Michelle. Look after yourself too.